Hey everybody, I'm Corey Weeds and we're here at Corey Weeds' Cellar Jazz Club in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. You can dial us up on the web at www.cellarjazz.com. We have some of the finest local, national, and international jazz live right here on this very stage. And today we are joined by my good friend and fantastic Vancouver drummer, Mr. Jesse Cahill. Okay, Jesse, why don't we start with where you grew up and how you got into jazz?
I grew up in Victoria, British Columbia, and I got into jazz through my parents' record collections, through listening to rhythm and blues and folk music and soul music, and just hearing local musicians in restaurants just around town when I was growing up.
Okay, now that leads into the next question about who was your biggest local influence when you were growing up, musically?
Sure, that would be, there's a couple drummers I used to go see play a lot. Josh Dixon, James McRae, Dylan Vanderscape when he would come to Victoria, and also Craig Scott. And all of those guys would let me sit in on their gigs and stuff. And so I think that was a real influence on me in terms of getting a lot of early experience playing with groups.
Okay, now as far as sort of international influences or superstar influences, who are the people that you checked out that really sort of made you want to play the drums and play jazz music?
Probably the biggest, the most common names, that people would always mention, but particularly Billy Higgins, Art Blakey, Elvin Jones, and then maybe a few others that might be surprising, like Connie Kay with the Modern Jazz Quartet, and Louis Hayes.
Now, I was going to ask you if you've done post-secondary education. I know you have. I know you went to McGill. And there's a lot of great musicians that have come out of McGill. Talk a little bit about your experience with McGill, what you learned there, what you've taken from there, and why that school seems to pump out so many great musicians.
Well, I think when I made the decision to go to McGill, it was because I had seen a quintet made up of the faculty members, and they were playing music that sounded exactly like what I was listening to on the records, and the core of the faculty there at that time really had a great appreciation and knowledge about the history of jazz music, and I think that is something that goes a long way to helping young musicians get their sound together and get their information together about what it is they want to play. So we got to play a lot, we got to play all the time, we got to play with the faculty plus all the other students that were around, and it was just an overall sort of great learning experience.
You listen to a lot of vinyl, so I'm not going to ask you what's on your iPod or in your CD player, but if I was to go into your apartment and sort of hang out around your record player, what 3 records would I see kind of sitting there that may have been played recently? Okay,
well, can I give you the list for today?
Sure.
It's different every day. I give you in retrograde order. So when I left the house, Paul Butterfield Blues Band Live was on the turntable. And right before that, I listened to Carmel Jones, Jayhawk Talk. And before that, I was listening to Tommy Flanagan, The Cats. They each got 2 plays today, so it's a good listening day at home.
Favorite Blue Note record and why?
That changes maybe daily. There's so many. Art Blakey Quintet, Night at Birdland with Clifford Brown and Lou Donaldson is probably, that's probably, I guess it's 3 LPs if you get the Japanese import. That's, that would be Desert Island stuff right there for sure.
I know you have a lot of other interests other than just playing drums and jazz music. If you were to do something other than be a musician, what would it be?
Photographer, maybe?
That's a recent thing for you.
Yeah, that's fairly recent, and it's really hard, and I'm not very good at it. So I think we'll leave that to the professionals. You know, I don't know, bus driver? I don't know. I can't answer that.
You'd be a good bus driver.
Yeah, I'd be Granky.
What are some of the things that you do now or listen to now that influence how you play now? It doesn't have to be music, just anything. What influences you now?
I'd say, I mean, you know, I still listen to, I have this big record collection, and I listen to everything from, you know, Duke Ellington records from the 20s on up through, you know, I guess my records probably stop in the early 80s, you know, when most people's records would sort of stop. But I've been finding a lot of great inspiration lately from the musicians that I've been playing with here that are visiting from out of town. Just this past weekend, having played with Pat Bianchi, he laid his new CD on me, and it had, first of all, it was Ralph Peterson playing drums, who's outstanding. And so, you know, I gave that a listen, and there was all this kind of some new sounds for me to check out and stuff like that. So every time I'm playing with somebody new, often, well, most of the time I'm not on their record, so I get to check out their record and hear who they're playing with and hear where they're coming from and get some more contemporary kind of aspects on the music. I think that's been really important in the last year anyways.
Okay. We're going to play a little game. I'm going to mention some names of maybe people, maybe of things.
Sure.
You don't have to limit your answers to one word, but
all right.
Sort of the first things that pop into your mind when I mention these names.
Okay.
So the first one, and this may require a bit of an explanation to the people, or at least this person will require perhaps some explanation as to who this person is. So give me your thoughts about this person first, and then we'll tell the people who he is.
All right.
Andre White.
Andre White, a outstanding Canadian jazz musician, underappreciated voice in our country. He's
for many aspects, right?
Yeah, he plays the drums, he plays the piano. He's a great recording engineer. He's a fantastic teacher, and he's been a pretty good friend too over the years.
Yeah, and he was a mentor of yours growing up.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Vinyl.
Oh, I don't know. It's the truth. That's what it is. It's the truth.
Billy Higgins.
Swinging, always. Never sounds bad. Sounds great on every record. I don't think anybody recorded more jazz records playing drums than him, and never sounds bad. It's always sounds happy and fun, you know.
The organ.
The organ. The mothership. It's like it's a little orchestra all unto itself. You can do everything with the organ.
Do you play differently when you play with organ than when you play with bass and drums?
No more so than I would play differently with one bass player to the next. You know, the organ has a different sound and a different texture to it. So sometimes maybe the touch on the cymbals a little different, and maybe tune the drums a little lower, maybe a little bit like that. But generally, it's just like anything else. You know, different musicians, you play a little bit different with everybody.
Now, your main band, you play in a lot of different bands, but your main band, jazz-wise, that you lead is Nightcrawlers. Tell us briefly about the Nightcrawlers, what they're all about, and what people can expect when when they come here you play.
Well, Nightcrawlers it's a good time band. It's like you know, down to earth music that's easily accessible and is fun and is uplifting and hopefully makes people want to, you know, makes it so they can't sit still when they're listening to it. You know. And, the idea was always just to play music that people enjoy listening to all the time.
Cool. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you here with the Nightcrawlers itself.
Thank you.
I will look forward to playing with you in the Nightcrawlers.
Yeah, there you go.
So, thanks a lot.
Thanks, man.
Okay. Okay, that was drummer Jesse Cahill. You can hear Jesse in a myriad of different bands, of course, right here at the Cellar or all around Vancouver. However, his main band is the Nightcrawlers, and you can check them out at nightcrawlersjazz.com. You can also check out Jesse's website at JesseCahill.com. He's got a fantastic blog where he puts up pictures, photographs that he's taken, video samples, sound samples of gigs that he's on, and it's generally just a lot of fun to read. So check it out, JesseCahill.com. Thanks for joining us here at Corey Weeds' Cellar Jazz Club.